Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. My name is David Hodge, active NGO warrior, representing Master Suleiman, the messenger of the covenant, the breaker of the seven seals. This is wartime. Today my topic is the seven churches, which can be found in Revelations, which is the Injil, in chapters 2 and 3. Before I start, I'd like to remind my people about the Holocaust. The Holocaust. This is the black man and woman of America's true experience, but they whitewash it and call it slavery. You might ask, what's the big deal? What's wrong with calling this slavery? I mean, that is what we went through, right? Yeah, we went through slavery. But that's not all we went through, brothers and sisters. You see this right in front of me? You see this illustration here? These illustrations? These photos? There's a part 2 we went through, brothers and sisters. The Holocaust. You see? This is the part they leave out. This is the percentage they leave out, brothers and sisters, which was the biggest percent of our experience, which was horror, torment, torture, misery, oppression. You see? They leave this part out, brothers and sisters. This was the biggest part. That's exactly why slavery, as they call it, is not a good definition or expression of our true experience, brothers and sisters. Because it doesn't know justice. It doesn't cover the full detail. It's not sufficient for our experience, because it only covers the 1% that we went through, which was slavery, which was the economic side, which was maximum profit, minimum overhead. See? So what's that? Meaning that you were getting paid less than what you're worth. Meaning you were putting more in than you were getting out. Meaning that they gave you the bare minimum. Turned you into a human garbage disposal. Gave you the scraps. Fed you the shit. You understand? Literal shit as payment. Fed you pig shit. Cow shit. So they gave you just enough to survive. Gave you the hand-me-downs and stuff they didn't want as a form of payment. And you were subjected to being a slave forever underneath their rule, in a system that practiced owning slaves, having to endure exhausting labor and restricted freedom. You see, being owned by these people, these monsters, you see, as human chattel or property in bondage, legally owned by other people and forced to work for them and obey them, brothers and sisters. And you were under their full control, under the owner's full control on that plantation, which you had the slave owner's last name. You see, exactly what you still have today, brothers and sisters. It's a brand. It's not a last name. It's a brand from the last slave master who owned you. So you had his last name, and you was under his authority, and he was forcing you into servitude with little to the bare minimum bare minimum of pay, meaning gave you scraps, and you were forbidden to quit your service no matter how tired you was. So this is what they're saying, that you're full. This is your full experience, brothers. This is what they're saying to you. This is what they're saying. So as you can imagine, now from hearing what I'm telling you, that there's a part 2 that they leave out. So that's a lie. That's a lie. They saying 100% your experience. I'm telling you it's 1%. Slavery is 1%, brothers and sisters. That means they lied to you. The other percent, which was the Holocaust, was 99%, which is our physical treatment. How they truly treated us. You see, what we endured, the physical treatment that we endured, brothers and sisters, here right in front of you. You see, because nowhere in the definition of slavery does it speak about this right here that you see in front of you, brothers and sisters. Murder. You see, rape, annihilation, genocide. You see, don't speak about that in slavery. Oppression, deception, abuse, misery, torture, torment. See, nowhere in the definition of slavery does it speak about you being beaten and whipped, stripped of knowledge. You see, being turned from Kunta Kinte into Toby. You see, being branded like cattle. You see, being treated like animals, being turned into animals, fed like pigs in pig troughs. Had to use your bare hands, no utensils. You see, didn't cook it, didn't season it. You had to eat it like it was. Nowhere in the definition of slavery. See, it don't speak about that, do it? Don't tell you that you was experimented on without anesthesia, does it? Don't tell you that you were being raped. The whole family was being raped. And the black woman had to carry masses children. Yeah, see? The people who look like me and you, act like us, talk like us, walk like us, act like us, but they not us. These people that you can't identify, but you soon will. These demons, masses black-faced children, demons, half devil, half man. Wolves in sheep clothing. You see? Caucasian and black skin from rape during the Holocaust. You see? But so, on top of that, we're plagued by demons. We're plagued by massive children. There's 34 million so-called blacks in America. 34 million so-called blacks, but half of them massive children. And we can't identify them because we lack the knowledge of the truth. We don't know. Unless you have the Injil. Unless you've come across Master Suleiman and he's explained this to you because he was the only one who could tell you. You see? Or else you'd be guessing it otherwise. Or you'd be just making up things in your mind. You wouldn't know. You would think a demon was something you was fighting still. But then the Injil tells you they're physical people. That demons and devils are physical people. See, a lot of people know who devils was. But no one knew who demons was, brothers and sisters. But it's a product of raping the black woman. The Caucasian man raping the black woman during the beginning of the Holocaust to this current date. So this is part of our experience that you need to know. This is important because these people are cancerous to us, brothers and sisters. These people are destroying us because we can identify them and they're not of you. They look like me and you, but they got the same mindset as the wicked, twisted people who drug us here and inflicted terror on us. You understand? So they're against you as well, brothers and sisters. But they look like me and you, so we mistake them as one of our own. And that's a problem because they're dangerous. They're destructive to us. And we need to get away from them. So, all this is tied into our experience, brothers and sisters, which they're hiding, which they're not telling you about. You have to ask yourself why. They're so proud to tell you everything else, all the fairy tales and make-believe stories. They tell you how great America is and the great things these people have done and all their leaders are great. But why don't they tell you about the Holocaust? Why are they hiding that from their children? Why are they hiding it from you? Why are they not telling you that all the presidents were rapists, pedophiles, and slave owners who terrorized and tortured black people? Huh? Why didn't they tell you about that? Why are they hiding it? What are they trying to hide? Why are they hiding it? You see? And why are they calling it critical race theory? See, before they didn't even teach it. They're teaching it today in school about what happened during so-called slavery, which is the Holocaust. They're telling you about this now. So it means they're going against themselves, you see. But now they're calling it a theory, see, to water down, to sugarcoat, to dumb down your experience once again, to insult you, you see. They're calling it a theory to keep you simmered down, to keep you from reacting, to keep you from breaking your programming, you see, to keep you within your programming. See, because you were programmed, brothers and sisters, from the time you were brought here, 1555 to 1619. That's when servitude started. That's when you were turned into a Negro bot. What's that, brother? A Negro bot is a programmed human robot. That's what they turned us into, you see? And we're still that today, due to them lying to us, being taught by them, being stripped of all knowledge, you see, suffering here, having a disadvantage, being taught to think a way we don't think, you see, being indoctrinated, being told that we were animals, told that we were inferior, that we were nothing, that we was worthless, see. So a lot of us are just happy to be free, because that's what you think your ancestors will want. But this here in front of you, brothers and sisters, this was your ancestors. You're getting your ancestors mixed up with the demons' ancestors. See, because we were plagued by demons. So you see, those house Negroes, those were master's children. They was in the house because they was master's children, and they was getting treated better than we was too. You know, they was dressing better. They ate better. You see, they did everything better. They had better treatment. You see, they were the ones we looked up to, because we wanted to stop getting treated so brutal and be treated like them. You see, they had the good life, just like they do now, brothers and sisters. Same deal. Same people that's working for Master in Master's house. You see? And we're still, you see, we had nothing and they had everything. They had everything that we wasn't getting. They had whatever Master had. They had a version, you see, they had a downgrade version of what he had, but it was still better than what we were getting, you see. So they always get his hand-me-downs, which isn't bad for him, you see. But we were given scraps. See, we were given hand-me-downs of scraps off other slaves. They were given hand-me-downs off masters back. You see, it's a difference, because those items were still good. They were still in great condition. You see, when we were given things, they were torn up. You see, they were no good. They were worthless. So that's what's taking place today. That's still happening, brothers and sisters. Your politicians, your entertainers, your celebrities, your superstars, these people you look up to, they're in Massa's house. They work for Massa. You see, they're in the industry. You can't get in that field unless you're Massa's children. They're still doing better than you. They're still the house niggas, and we're the field niggas, brothers and sisters. So they didn't endure this Holocaust. They were the ones beating you. You see that black man up there in the top right corner beating that brother like that? See, that ain't his brother. It's one of them demons. Massa's children beating us to death. You see? So they were aiding and helping Massa like they're doing today. They're still doing the same thing, same agenda to kill you, wipe you out, take you out of existence. Nothing has ever changed, brothers and sisters, and they're keeping your experience from you, calling it critical race theory, saying that this, what I'm telling you, being sodomized, castrated, dismembered, disemboweled, dismantled, amputated, decapitated, hung, starved, cut open, peeled alive, gutted, cooked alive, birthed alive, made unrecognizable, children fed to gators. They're saying that these things that happened to us was a theory. See how insulting that is? Telling you that your experience is something that could have happened, might have happened. Oh, we don't know exactly how it happened. Hey, let's just say it's a theory. These are theories. We're going to play around with it. Like it's a game. You see, playing around with your experience when what happened to us was facts. Was actual facts. You see what I'm saying, brothers? Actual facts what happened to us. And they act like they don't know if it happened, didn't happen. No, they know. That's what they're doing to you. They're playing with your intelligence. You see? They're playing with your mind, brothers and sisters, just like they always have, terrorizing us mentally, inflicting harm and fear in us. You see, playing games with us. They know exactly what the hell they did because they're not trying to tell you. They're not trying to be fully responsible for what they did because they're under judgment. Brothers and sisters, they don't want to tell you this and they children because they're trying to hide what they did because they're in trouble. That's what's going on in the world today, brothers and sisters. Everything you see taking place, this world, this reality coming to an end, being crushed. America going to war. All their foots in all these wars that they can't back out of. You see, they into with all these nations and about to go to war soon. You see, which is part of their judgment due to the Holocaust, brothers and sisters. It's about the Holocaust, what they're keeping from you. You have to know about the Holocaust because your ancestors would not want you to stay here. They want you to avenge them. They want you to go home. They want you to get out of here. You see? Because they did not want you to be here with Massa. Them the demons' ancestors. Your ancestors wanted you to leave. If they saw that you wanted to stay here in the land of your imprisonment, they would rise up against you in judgment and call you a fool, brothers and sisters, because they indeed wanted you to get out of here and save your life and avenge theirs and avenge your woman who saved you because Massa did not let us mate. So that means what did she do? She followed her heart. She did the best thing ever done. She was a true warrior. See, she stood up against Massa. She went against his back. Or she went behind his back and still slept with us and still populated us, still gave birth to us, made sure we were still here in existence because Massa tried to wipe us out completely, brothers and sisters. And if it wasn't for her risking her life and her children's lives to make sure that we were still here, see, we wouldn't even be here. It'd be all demons, all Massa's children, see. So thanks to the black woman, brothers and sisters, not some Jesus who died for your sins on the cross that never happened. Okay, brothers and sisters? So this is your true experience. This is what these devils did to you. They completely dehumanized you past imaginable, brothers and sisters, and they gave you their religion to brainwash you, to keep you powerless. You see, they gave you Christianity, which was designed to terrorize you. See, which is still working today. Giving you the thought that you're going to hell, that you're threatened with everlasting torment and agony in hell if you disobey Massa. You see, same deal today. You still, if you go against what that Caucasian Jesus, that white Jesus tell you to do, you're not going to make it to heaven. Same deal, brothers and sisters. It's a concept only in Christianity. It's not even mentioned anywhere in the scriptures. You see? So it was never given to us as true salvation. It was intended to psychologically terrorize us. It was a weapon directed at your mind. See? To gain control over you, to make you powerless, to disconnect you from reality, to torment you with never-ending hell. If you disobey Massa, if you go against his reality, if you ask questions, you see, if you Go against massa and stand up against him. Don't worry about what massa do to you. Pray for your enemies. Love your enemies. You see, it's teaching you to be disconnected from reality. Don't worry about consequence. Don't worry about that. God got your back. God got all this for you. God doing everything for you. God waking you up. God, see, it's making you powerless, making you a dummy, making you dumb down. They're dumbing you down. They're making you ignorant. They're trying to, see, it's easy to kill someone once they're powerless, sleep, unaware. So that's what Christianity is doing, brothers and sisters, making you powerless while they're using the true reality against you. While they're using our true reality, which is mathematics. They're using mathematics against you because it has power. So they're using mathematics, pressure, force, energy. You see, they're using that, the most fundamental principle of the universe, which nothing happens without. They're using mathematics against you, which is how everything works in the universe, brothers and sisters. So this is your true experience, the Holocaust, brothers and sisters. They want you to forget it. Don't forget it, brothers and sisters. Never forget the Holocaust. So we're going to begin. We're going to begin. Like I said, today we're going to be speaking about the 7 churches, which you can find in the Injil, which is Revelations chapter 2 and 3. Before we start, I want to explain the abomination of desolation, because this is what the 7 churches is centered around. This event that is a near event that is about to take place, brothers and sisters. So you must know what it is. So the abomination of desolation. Well, first you need to know what abomination is. Abomination is something that's not supposed to happen. Then you have the desolation. Desolation means destruction. Okay, so this is an event that is spoken about in the Injil. It's an event that is spoken. This is an event that is spoken in the Bible. That you can find in the book of Mark. You can find this story if you like to read it. I'm just going to give you a brief summary on it. So the abomination of desolation is an event that's going to take place in the Middle East. It's a war in the Middle East with Iran versus false Israel. Okay, so you have false Israel, who are the so-called chosen people, God's so-called chosen people. So it says that once God puts these people in their land, they are not to be rooted or removed. So remember that. But the abomination of desolation is saying that someone's sitting in the holy place that's not supposed to be there. You see? Then the abomination of desolation happens. So from the Injil reveals that Iran, the war with Iran versus false Israel, Iran is going to win the war. False Israel, this is when false Israel loses. So like I said, they are the chosen people. So that's not supposed to happen, brothers and sisters. You understand that? That's not supposed to happen because they're God's chosen people, and it said once God put them in their land that they are not to be removed. So you see that's a problem right there, because that identified them as not being who they claim to be, which is what the abomination of desolation was indicating, that someone was standing in the holy place that wasn't supposed to be there. That's an abomination. Them being removed is abomination. Something that's not supposed to happen. They're not supposed to be in that area. That's not supposed to happen. You see, desolation, their destruction, they were removed. So see, no one's going to expect them to lose because they think they're God's chosen people. So when they lose, this war is going to confirm them as being not that. False Israel. You see? Jewish. See? Somewhat. Kinda like a Jew. You see? Somewhat of a Jew. Not a Jew. Jewish. Not a Jew. You see? Not really. So this is what these things mean, bro. So just the abomination of desolation is a near event that's about to take place, and false Israel is going to lose and expose them for not being the true seed of Abraham. So this is what this seven churches is centered around. So it's these seven churches are being spoken to before and after. So you have four churches that are being spoken to before the abomination of desolation. Then the abomination of desolation happens, and then you have three churches that was spoken to after the abomination of desolation, brothers and sisters. As you see it here, right, we're in chapter 2 and 3. So the first four churches that we speak to are in chapter 2. The last three churches that we speak to, the last three churches that are spoke to are in chapter 3. Okay. And these churches are being spoken to by Master Fard Muhammad, the Almighty God, Master Suleiman, the breaker of the seven seals, and Obama, which you know as your president. Okay, so we're going to get started, brothers and sisters. Okay, so you see, we have this structure that's right here in front of you. This structure is this is the Injil key. If you're not familiar with it, we have videos on it. But this position, this structure of the seven churches, this position is showing. This position on the Injil key is showing when false Israel is under siege. You see, this is showing when American Britain were casted out, where they were thrown out. You see, they were thrown out, and false Israel was isolated just before the abomination of desolation happened. So whenever you see this position, that means that false Israel is under siege, because if you look at the middle right here with the star, that's false Israel. I'm going to explain these seven churches in a minute, but just that star right there is false Israel. And the two churches on below and at the top, all the way at the top, are supposed to be alongside, you see, but they were thrown out, and which made the one false Israel right here in the middle with the star isolated, you see. So this is just before the abomination of desolation, brothers and sisters. Okay, so we're going to identify right. Let me say this real quick. This is the position right before the abomination of desolation, right? And so remember, I explained that false Israel loses the war. So then, boom, this is when they're defeated. You see, now they're gone. I'll show you again, brothers and sisters. They were there. Now they're gone, because they lost the war. They were defeated. Okay. All right. So let's move forward. We're going to identify the seven churches. So you have to understand that these seven churches. These seven churches, they all represent a country, and they all represent Caucasian nations, the Caucasian countries. So when you read in the Injil, in the Revelations, it's sealed. So these are the sealed names of these countries, of these Caucasian countries. So I'm going to name them off for you, and then I'm going to tell you what their real names are, what their American names are, or what their European names are. Or yeah. Okay, so we have Ephesus. You have Pergama, Smyrna, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, Laodicea. So those are all the 7 churches. In Ephesus, at the top, is Britain, which is Magog. It's another deal. And then you have the ones underneath them, which are which Pergama is Iran. And let me make sure give me a second, brothers and sisters. Forgive me, brothers and sisters. Let's start that again. Let's do this again. I think I made a mistake, but I can fix it now. Okay, we're gonna do the top again. Ephesus. Ephesus is Britain. And then you go to the bottom, underneath you have Pergama, which is Syria. And then you got Smyrna, which is Iran. Okay, so those two, Iran and Syria, Pergama and Smyrna, that's the Islamic part of the Caucasian nations, meaning that they're original on the paternal side. So these people are original, and everyone else are devils, meaning that they're not original. So you have the Britain at the top, Ephesus. You see? So then you have the original, Iran and Syria, Pergama, Smyrna. Then you have false Israel here, below them, Thyatira. That's false Israel, which is Satan. Then you have underneath them, which is you have Sardis, which is Eastern Europe, which is Russia. Then you have Philadelphia, which is America. And you have Laodicea, which is Western Europe, which is EU. So those are the 7 churches. And like I said, they're being spoken to at this time, before and after. So, and they're being spoken to by Master Fard Muhammad, Master Suleiman, and Obama. And so now I'm going to identify. Oh, okay. Okay, we're going to get started. So all these churches, I identify all the 7 churches, brothers and sisters. But today, we're going to focus on Ephesus, which is Britain. All right. We're going to focus on this church. And in the script that we're going to be reading from is speaking to the nation that's inside of Ephesus, which is Britain. Inside of Britain, because Britain has dominated a nation, and it's a nation that's being talked to in this scripture. So I'm going to explain that to you. Here it is, right here. They're dominating the Asian nations. You see? So this is the nation that they were dominating. And this is who the first, in chapter 2 of Revelations, who's being spoken to first, this church, and the nation inside that church, which is the Asian nations. they're being spoken to by these three individuals. So I'm going to identify them. It says here, if you're not familiar with the key, you have to remember the key is like a body. You have the head, you have the arms, and you have the legs, the feet. You see, but here, the symbols, you have the ears. You see, which is connected to the head. You have the hands, which is connected to the arms. Then you have the butt, which is connected to your legs, your feet. You see, so these symbols are what. See, this is how you know who they're talking to, due to which place they're in, brothers and sisters. And it says in Suleiman is at the top, the ear position. So whenever you see ear being spoken about, that means Suleiman is speaking to the top piece. And at the top is the golden part of each nation. In that nation, the golden top in the Asian nations is the Sunnis, which is the Sunni Arabs. So Suleiman is speaking to the Sunnis. Then underneath them, you have the hands, which represents Master Prophet Muhammad, and underneath them, you have the calf. You have the dragon. You see, you have the dragon. So he's speaking to the house of Saad. He's speaking to those individuals. When you see hands, and then you have underneath that the butt, which is Obama, and he's speaking to anyone that's at the bottom half. So that's how that's going to work, brothers and sisters. So I'm just going to briefly walk you through how to identify who's talking to who. Okay, so first one talking is Obama. He's the butt. So remember, he's talking to the ones at the bottom, brothers and sisters. But we're not going to focus on what it's saying right now. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that another time. We're going to focus on how to identify who he's talking to, or who's talking. You see, and who he's talking to. See, because this is part of learning how to use the angel key in these things, so you be successful in using the angel, brothers and sisters. Okay, so we have here chapter 2, verse 1 starts with to the angel in Ephesus, which is speaking about Britain, of Ecclesia. Right, the butt. Right there you have, brothers and sisters, the butt is identified, which is speaking about Obama. And anytime you hear the butt, it's Obama speaking to whoever's at the bottom. So it says the butt things is saying the one holding the 7 stars in the right hand of him. And the one holding the 7 stars in the right hand of him, he's holding this nation that you see up here, the Asian nations at the top to the left. This is the nation that they're speaking to. See, this is another topic, but that's how you know how to identify the Asian nations, because this has something to do with that. If you're familiar with the Lion Throne, he's the one it's the Caucasian nations who has the authority, and they have other nations that they're dominating, and they have them in their hand. They have them in the left and the right of their hands, and see, it's confusing. I don't want to mix that up, brothers and sisters. So let's just move forward. So it says the butt things is saying the one holding the 7 stars in the right hand of him, the one walking about in middle of the 7 lampstands, the golden. Right. So that verse, Obama was talking to whoever's at the bottom, brothers and sisters. We're going to move forward. You have the works, which again is Master Fard Muhammad. So it says in the verse, I have known the works of you. So this is instantly letting you know that the works is talking about Master Fard Muhammad, and the works is the hands. You see? Because you do work with your hands. So on the key, he's in the hand position. The works is in the hand position. So it says, I have known the works. So Master Fard Muhammad is talking, I have known the works of you. And he's talking to the house of Saad. He's saying, in the labor, in the endurance of you, in that not you are able to carry bad men, and you put the test the ones saying themselves apostles, and not they are, and you found them false. And endurance you are having, and you carried through the name of me, and not you have labored, but I am having down on you, that the love of you, the first you let go off, be you keeping in mind. Therefore, from where you have fallen, and repent, and the first works do. If but not, I am coming to you, and I shall move the lampstand of you out of the place of it. It ever not you should repent. So this verse, Master Muhammad is talking to them, and he's telling them to repent. So if you need to repent, that's telling you that they're doing something wrong. So it means they need to change from. So, but we're going to move forward. So we know with that verse who he's talking to. So now you have this verse. So you have Master Suleiman. He's the spirit and the conqueror. So when you read it, that's who is saying, that's who's talking. That's who's talking, brothers and sisters. So it says the one having ear. Okay? So ear takes you to which part on the engine key? It takes you up to the top where the Sunnis is, because that's where the head is. That's where the ear would be. The ear is at the top. So he's speaking to the Sunnis. The one having ear is the Sunnis. So the one having ear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying. The Spirit, again, is Suleiman, because the Spirit represents the Spirit of the God. So he's the God. So you have, let him hear what the Spirit is saying to the ecclesia, which again is Ephesus, that church, which is Britain. So it says, Spirit, let him hear what the Spirit is saying to the ecclesia, to the one conquering, which is Suleiman. I shall give to him to eat out of the wood of the life, which is in the paradise of the God. Okay, brothers and sisters, so in this verse, you have Master Suleiman talking to the Sunnis, the ear, talking to the ear. And you have him, the Spirit and the Conqueror, talking to Ephesus, saying this to Ephesus, which is Britain. So this is what I wanted to cover today with you, brothers and sisters. Next time we can go further. I just wanted you to understand those concepts and get, we start off simple. Then we can work our way up, brothers and sisters. But just to give you the picture of that 7 churches again, these are all the 7 churches. I go back through the names. You have Ephesus, which is Britain, Pergama, which is Syria. You have Smyrna, which is Iran, Thyatira, which is false Israel, Sardis, which is Russia, Philadelphia, which is America, Laodicea, which is EU. So those are the 7 churches that are being spoken to, brothers and sisters, in the NGO. And they're being spoken to before the abomination of desolation and after the abomination of desolation. This is when false Israel loses the war, which no one's going to expect to happen, brothers and sisters. There they are. They lost the war. And this is when the other 3 churches are being spoke to, brothers and sisters. So with that being said, that's all I had. I'm going to bring this to a close. Thank you for listening to me. Assalamu alaikum.